Welcome, entrepreneurs. I'm Ann Kay on my lifelong quest, Escaping Ordinary. Join me as I interview wildly successful and rising entrepreneurs that value travel as an essential influence in their outlook and mindset, and how it helps them live happy, fulfilling lives, build successful businesses, and craft their own extraordinary lives. I'm Ann Kay, and this is Escaping Ordinary. Hi, it's Ann Kay here. Welcome to Escaping Ordinary. I'm switching things up a bit today by adding a monthly episode I'm calling A Peek Beyond My Mind's Blinds. We as entrepreneurs have a unique way of thinking, each of us different, but with the same creative, failure is no option mentality. I'm constantly being asked, what makes you see things the way you do? How are you able to keep so positive when others would crumble under their failures or struggle in challenging circumstances? There was a time in the past where I would share my thoughts and answer these types of questions in my blog, but I terminated that a while ago. So I decided to open the blinds a bit to my mind and share a little of how I think here on my Escaping Ordinary podcast. It may shed light on another way to face challenges in your life, or maybe just answer some of the questions I get about the way I see and interact with life. I hope you not only enjoy these monthly excursions into my mind, but are able to mine a nugget of value as you join me on these journeys. Earlier today, I was experiencing the dreaded entrepreneurial feeling I get every so often of overwhelm and stagnation. It's that bogged down sense that even though you are working nonstop, you aren't really getting anything accomplished, and no new ideas are flowing the way they usually do. You know, that self-preservation sense that overcomes you, where you know in your gut you just must escape for a bit, and it has to be now? I knew there was only one thing to do at that moment to get my business back on track and ready to soar, and I was going to stop everything and do it. I put my computer down, stood up, and said, I feel the need to weed. Okay, it's not my usual call for stimulation. You're more likely to hear me talk about going on an exotic trip or even a simple road trip across town. But since I had an appointment later I couldn't reschedule, I wanted to stay close to home. I decided to take a trip to my majorly neglected backyard garden and see what damage I could do out there and get out of my head. Yes, get out of my head, so I can get back into it afterward with new ideas and focus. A focus that's influenced by the inspiration getting away always provides me. But weeding? Absolutely. To be honest, I have a love-hate relationship with weeding. I hate when it has to be done and love when I need to do it. As long as it isn't your job, weeding is probably the best therapy secret in the world. As a matter of fact, if you live in an apartment, I'd strongly suggest you find somewhere you can put a small garden, just so you have a reason to weed something. But I digress. Now, I do pay someone to come in for the mowing, trimming, spraying, and general gardening, to do this labor to free me up so I have the time for more cash-generating activities for my business. But trust me, there's always weeding that can be done. Weeds are relentless. So why weeding? In the first place, weeding is nearly instant gratification. That is, if you call sweating and hard work focused on the task at hand instant. And frankly, yes, I do. For one thing, it's instant because I don't have to wait for stats to see if what I've done has accomplished something. I look down and either smile with satisfaction that the weeds are gone, or I get back down and remove what's left that doesn't belong. I'm in control, and when I'm done, I have a check mark ticked off under my success column. Instant gratification, instant sense of accomplishment. A simple success through focus that is significant therapeutic result of kicking the feeling of overwhelm and incompetence in the gut and to the curb. Where other things in my life or business may seem out of my control, I can look at what I've accomplished by mastering this task. And its not so subliminal lesson translates to, if I can master this one, I know with renewed focus I can master anything. Now, I'm making the assumption that you know what a weed is. To me, a weed is something that is growing where it doesn't belong. It could be an undesirable plant or a beautiful flower that decided to seed itself where it's not intended to be in my garden. Sometimes that unexpected flower is serendipitous and an unsought gift from nature that you decide to leave because it enhances the garden. But sometimes even the flower, as beautiful as it is, doesn't belong. I tend to look for a place to transplant it where it can thrive, but sometimes even it has to go. On the other hand, the undesirable plants always must go. It invades the desirable plants, making them weak, and wreaks havoc with the garden. Have you noticed they are always the toughest to remove, and by far the ones that always return when the garden is neglected? It seems to me that there are two types of these nasty weeds. The ones that grow on their own with strong, deep roots that seem determined to remain right where they are. Then there are the ones that are not deeply rooted, but seem to enjoy the company of others, to take over and smother what is good. They spread and take tiny root along the way, creating a field of unwanted growth. Either of these types of weeds, without tending, can take over and destroy your beautiful plan. As another little gecko scampered by me when I pulled out his clever hiding place, a peculiar thought came to mind unbidden. Isn't this true of all areas of life? We weed and tend our garden, but how often do we check for weeds that smother or instill fear and doubt in our business and daily lives? Funny thing happens when I'm focused on relatively mindless tasks, like weeding and forcing myself to be in the moment. I notice the details of what is around me, and nearly everything bogging my mind slips away. This exercise, with its positive sense of accomplishment, reinforces the benefit of being in the moment and helps me train myself to be more often in the moment in my business and in life in general. Being in the moment brings a different kind of clarity, and with that clarity, solutions. Often without me even thinking about it, a solution to something that had me bogged down just pops into my head, or an unexpected, seemingly unrelated inspiration presents itself waiting to influence a project. Weeding replaced the business chaos in my head with a sweet, earthy aroma of freshly exposed, sun-warmed earth that was previously hidden by stubborn weed I just removed. You see, I did something that had a positive effect, and I was rewarded. There is also a delight in the beautiful splashes of color and shapes provided by the flowers around me. I just dare you to tell me that wouldn't stimulate anyone's creativity. All the while, the soothing sound of the waterfall coming from the corner of my yard transports me to an environment I am in control of for that moment. Funny how focusing on the moment, everything takes on a different, satisfying feeling. From the warm, gentle breeze against my skin to the clean, refreshing taste of the fresh brewed iced tea as I take a short break to quench my thirst before going back to controlling the garden chaos. It all is a perfect setting for my personal transformation. It hit me as I walked out to my garden today that there's a natural order to the garden's overgrown mess. When you think about it, in a way, just having a garden is controlling nature, just like we control the individual elements of our business. After all, a neglected garden is just growing as nature intended the individual items to grow, which is not necessarily in concert with one another or my vision for my garden. I decide where I want a flower planted or a tree to grow. I choose the location of this bush to the next. When left untended, the result at times resembles nothing as imagined or planned. It's then for me to decide if it's just neglect, or does my plan need to be adjusted for better result. Sometimes I need to walk away from the garden, and when I return, I look at it with a different lens. Many times I will see another plan that helps the individual elements work in better concert with one another, creating an even better, more successful and intriguing garden. Then again, at times, it's just the result of not being diligent in providing the focused attention required to be at its best. I found that insight for the things that challenge me come from letting go of the problem, traveling to a new location, even if it's just my own backyard for a few hours, to focus on something unrelated to my challenge. It's where I gather the inspiration that influences my understanding, stimulates my creativity, and steers my actions. I challenge you the next time you experience the dreaded entrepreneurial feeling of overwhelm and stagnation to stop what you're doing. Go outside, focus on everything around you, and weed. Till next time, when I again let you peek beyond my mind's blinds. Thank you for joining me today. Thanks so much for listening to this show. It's been great to have you here. And if you liked what you heard, please hit the subscribe button now, like, share, and leave a rave review below. It would be most appreciated. And don't forget to join us next week. I can't wait to introduce you to my next guest. While you're at it, head over to Facebook and join the Escaping Ordinary group. You'll find the link in the episode notes. Once you're there, you'll be able to interact with me and like-minded entrepreneurs also looking to escape ordinary. Oh, and when you join the group, you'll get a special gift designed especially for those escaping their ordinary. In the meantime, be looking for those precious gems of inspiration all around you when you're traveling the world or just going around the corner, and start filling your treasure chest of insights.